to run a car on electric power costs about $1 a gallon equivalent. And some places there's incentives to charge your car at night. For example, in Oregon, they have a 4 cent per kilowatt hour overnight rate for EV owners. And a car like the Nissan Leaf will go 4 miles on 1 kilowatt hour. So that means if you live in Oregon and charge your car, it's about a penny a mile to drive your car on electricity. As gas gets $4, $5, $6 a gallon, that's going to wake people up and hopefully allow them to adopt the technology.
We are currently in partnership with the University of Colorado and Toyota to put out a fleet of their plug-in hybrids. There's 28 cars right now. It's a 9-week cycle. Our participants are randomly selected. And most of this is being done by our researchers at the University of Colorado. And really what we're looking to do is to understand customer behavior, understand customer charging behavior, and customer behavior in general.
There's tens of thousands of islands in the world. Indonesia alone has 14,000 islands, and all of them are completely dependent on petroleum for their electricity. So they're kind of desperate, and renewables is a cost-effective solution for them. But on a small system, adding renewables means you get to high penetrations or high levels of renewables very quickly, which causes integration issues that utilities in the lower 48 don't have to deal with, or are only starting to deal with. But it's a much bigger problem if you're getting 60% of your power from renewables than if you're getting 10% of your power from your renewables. So these are the real smart grid innovators, but they're scattered around the world, and there are places that don't have a lot of technical resources on site. And so that's our role, is to help give them software and tools to help them, and help them in other ways as much as we can.
Fort Collins has taken a slightly different approach. There are a lot of AMI programs in place. You know, what's the infrastructure to connect the utility down all the way to the meter? But what the Fort Zed project did was looking at how do we create a zero energy district, and specifically how do we utilize our customers. In this case, they were big commercial and industrial customers: Colorado State University, New Belgium Brewing, City of Fort Collins, Larimer County. How do we utilize those assets to achieve certain objectives on the grid? And in this case, it was to reduce peak energy consumption on a couple feeders within a substation. So the idea is, how can we defer infrastructure upgrades, defer the cost of generation and transmission by utilizing resources at the C&I customers. So in the case of New Belgium Brewing, they utilize waste gas from the brewing process, and they can help shave the peak and therefore reduce the infrastructure costs. We don't need to upgrade the substations. And likewise, we can use demand response within the county buildings and the city buildings. We can actually turn down compressors a little bit, so it might raise the temperature very slightly in the building, but within certain parameters that's considered acceptable. We can shift a couple degrees, as long as it's not impacting people's comfort, then it can actually help reduce the load at the time when we need that. So again, Fort Collins, so it's taken a bit of a different approach, and you know, in Boulder, a lot of the infrastructure is in place, but I don't think necessarily people have seen so many advantages. And whereas in Fort Collins, I think there are some tangible advantages there. So I think all these are you know, it's a very nascent industry that's we got to figure out how do we get from where we are to where customers want to be with renewable energy, with electric vehicles, and how do we facilitate that in a way that still makes sure that we have reliable power. That's the challenge. In order for this to really move forward, though, obviously there needs to be the business case in place. What is that capital expenditure that's deferred, and what does it cost to recruit these resources? Obviously, there's a cost-benefit relationship there, but that was not the primary focus of that